Syracuse for a 7th-ranked Duke, and likely the final face-off between the two titans of the sport and Coach K and Jim Boeheim. Syracuse was without Buddy Boeheim in this one, but still managed to quite give a scare to Duke, taking the lead with 3:32 to go in the second half. But then Duke said, let's snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
Hey.
They closed out with a 10-0 run to secure their place in the semi-finals. No upset here like they did at home in Coach K's game. Gotta love it.
So Duke coming off that win over Syracuse. They get Coach L, Jim Larrañaga, and Miami, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Part of a stacked lineup today across ESPN networks. All gets going at noon in the SEC quarters. Texas A&M against Auburn. And goes, frankly, throughout the night. Your listings for all the matchups. It's March, means a whole load of college basketball. It means we get to hang out with our good buddy, Sean Farnham.
What's up?
Basically pays rent now at ESPN's campus. Never leaves. We've gotten him over here in our studio today. Sean, Duke won a close one yesterday, benefiting from Buddy Boeheim's absence, Cole Swider getting in foul trouble. Survive and advance is the case, not just in the NCAA tournament, but conference tournaments as well. But a week from today, when we are in the round of 64, what do you think the level of concern should be if you're a Duke supporter, given how they've played not just against Syracuse, but against Carolina in recent weeks?
Concern from the standpoint of winning the national championship, I would say that I wouldn't be overtly concerned outside of one area in particular, and that's the defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look back at that game against Syracuse last night, second half, like Syracuse threw a bunch of different defenses at them in the first half. In the second half, they calmed down. They were like, hold up. We got this. 15 assists on 19 made field goals. That's a 79% assist to made field goal ratio. That's outstanding. So they shared the ball extremely well. Where they got a little bit better as the game went on was defensively. And that's my concern for them as they get into the NCAA tournament. They've lacked some consistency at the defensive end of the floor. I don't really worry about this team offensively. I know we talk about late game situation. Where do they want to get Paolo Banchero the ball? Is it A.J. Griffin that's getting the shot? Where's Jeremy Roach's role in this and all that stuff? That's fine. We can have that conversation. But to me, if this team locks up and defends the way that they're capable of defending, like they did at portions of times throughout the course of the season, then they're good enough to win a national championship. If they're not, and they defend like they did against Carolina last weekend, they're good enough to lose in the second round. I mean, that's just where we're at when you look at a team like Duke. So that's where I'm at right now. That's my level of concern. I believe that this team can get to New Orleans. I believe this team can win a national championship if it buys in for 40 full minutes at the defensive end.
Let's stay on the topic of winning a national championship because everybody likes to look at those number one seeds. And we've seen a variety of number one seeds this year, some of them going down, some of them, climbing back up to that stardom that they were at the beginning of the season. So as we look at the tournament, who do you see being the number one seeds and which team is more likely to win it all?
Well, I think right now what we're looking at, because of Baylor's loss to Oklahoma, I think that Kansas wins the Big 12 tournament. They're clearly going to be a 1 seed. I think Baylor's going to drop off the 1 seed line, depending upon what happens at the SEC tournament. If Auburn or Kentucky wins the SEC championship, which I fully anticipate one of those two teams will, then your 1 seed is going to be Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, and then the winner of the SEC tournament. And I think when you look at where we're at in college basketball, a year ago, we had the same number 1 and same number 2 team pretty much all season long. Gonzaga did go wire to wire. Start of the season all the way through to the start of the NCAA tournament. They were the number 1 ranked team in the country. There hasn't been that separation this year, to your point. We've seen teams that Gonzaga lost it, got it back, lost it again, got it back. Auburn got there. We've seen Purdue climb up there. So we've seen a lot of other teams climb up there, which means that we don't have that separation that we had a season ago. There's probably about 8 teams that have a legitimate chance to win a national championship as we head into this NCAA tournament. And by the way, all 8 of those teams could lose in the Sweet 16. That's just where we're at. So
madness.
Hey, take the seatbelt, lock it in, sit back, and go, hey, this is going to be fun.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Sean, stop me if you've heard this before. Dominant regular season from Gonzaga. They're a 1 seed.
Yep.
They have Staten wins over Texas, UCLA. I'm sorry. Lost to Duke,
I was there.
Bama,
I saw it with my
Santa
eyes.
Clara. 6-game win streak is what's going to distinguish them from winning a national championship and yet again being a 1 seed, falling short last year, getting all the way to the title game. What do you think is the X factor for them to get that elusive national title?
First of all, can we stop this narrative that if Gonzaga played in another conference, they wouldn't be great?
Yeah. People, stop it.
The WCC, it hurts them come tournament time. Really? It hurts them? They've played in 2 national championships in the last 4 years.
Yep.
They've won more tournament games than any program in the country in the last 10 years. I don't think it's hurting them at all. I think they're great. I think Mark Few's a heck of a coach. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think they have lottery picks. Like, what are we're nitpicking? They have potentially the #1 pick in the draft in Chet Holmgren. Stop. If this was any other program, we'd be like, oh my gosh, they're so great. But because it's Gonzaga and it's a small school in the West region and they haven't won the national championship, we hold it against them. This team is good enough to win the national championship. They are good enough to win a national championship this year because there is no Baylor team that can be so disruptive that it can hurt them. I think 2 things I look at when Gonzaga that I'd like to see more of, and I just called their conference championship that they won over St. Mary's. One is bench production. I think Anton Watson played really well at the WCC tournament, but they need Nolan Hickman to step up and have guys. If someone goes down with foul trouble, someone goes down with an ankle injury, in particular on the wing, I think they're a little thin there right now as far as what they're bringing off their bench. That could be a problem in a game that's going to be 1 or 2 possessions or something like that happens, and you need someone to give you 10 minutes. Outside of that, I would say that understanding when their offense isn't flowing. I was there on the call when they lost to St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is an outstanding team that can disrupt you and dictate the flow of the game. So if Gonzaga's playing a Wisconsin, like, okay, now they're controlling the tempo. You're not out running in the open floor. Can you execute with the same level of efficiency that is necessary in order to win? I think that's the 2 biggest challenges for Gonzaga right now. Bench production, and when you get into a game where your tempo is not where you want it to be, are you patient enough to still work to get that great shot?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.